Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Prime 4 podcast. My name is Bryce.
Ross.
Alex.
And Chris is gone today, so we're going to be a very video game centric podcast. We didn't talk about it last week because you two were gone. First things first, just want to say rest in peace to Malik B, one of the founders of The Roots, passed away. Unfortunately, I am not 100% sure they released information on that about how he actually passed away.
Yeah, I'm not 100% either.
I could definitely pull up an article here. Okay, so they did not specify the cause.
Yeah, they probably need to look into it still or whatever.
Yeah, so rest in peace to Malik B. That's Philly, that's The Roots. They're on that one guy don't like talk show. That's where Black Dot is.
Yep.
And shit. So yeah, rest in peace to him. Chris, I'll just bring this up quick. Chris wanted to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it because it's nothing. It's T.I. and Jeezy might sit down with Gucci Mane to I guess settle some long time beef, which is probably who started trap music, and it was not Gucci Mane at all. And it was clearly T.I. and Jeezy or Jeezy. Or that other guy that we mentioned in another episode that it was Outkast. Let's just say it was Outkast.
Wasn't it that guy, that wrestler guy?
Oh yeah. I can't. Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor did it, dude.
Lex Luger or whatever.
Lex Luger. Yeah, I can't remember. It was something like that.
Oh goddamn.
But so they might sit down, and I guess I don't know. Who cares? Honestly, because that's been early 2000s,
yeah,
shit, and it's been so long. They don't talk about it constantly. Yeah. And if they're still mad about it after this long, it's just fight or something. Just figure it out.
I mean, it's probably one of those things where you're they're probably gonna go feel it out and see if the other side is actually still mad about it or not, because then they got to act mad about it too still.
Right. Let's reignite this beef.
Yep.
So
anything else in the hip hop scene?
No, honestly, I bumped my mic. I sent out the list today. So it was very suddenly put together. Yeah. And because mostly the news that I pay attention to is the huge hip hop news that will pop up. You can't ignore it kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like Malik B passing away, stuff like that. Huge releases. Or politics. Philbin. Yeah, Regis Philbin passed away. So rest in peace to Regis, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And guy who grabbed Nicki Minaj's butt on TV. And most of the news that I see is political pretty much through the week, which is frustrating, but hey, we're not a political podcast, but there's a ton of fucking shit going down in politics that we won't get into because this is probably our last episode anyway. So it's who knows? But let's get right into gaming because we missed it last week, and that was the Xbox Game Showcase. Did you guys watch it?
I saw trailers and stuff and things.
Premiere.
Yeah, I got to watch it live. I was on YouTube, and someone that I watch put it on live as a react thing, so I watched it through that. And I'm trying to find a list of them right now, but apparently I got to look a little deeper. But I did watch it. I watched it live, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, because first off, Stalker 2.
Yep.
I'm trying to find a list of games so I can just start spewing a fucking shit ton of them, but I can't find a goddamn list. It's all IGN articles about what I actually thought about it, like we're trying to do right now. and I don't need that. I just need the list. I'll keep looking, I guess, but we got Halo Infinite, Fable 3, Stalker 2, Phantasy Star Online, some sort of release. Don't know if that's the current one or what. State of Decay 3, an RPG, a first-person RPG called Avowed from Obsidian Entertainment, which looks kind of like an Elder Scrolls,
Yep.
but next gen, current gen, in parentheses, whatever you want.
Yep.
But those were like the big ones that I could pull from it.
Mhm.
And if I could find a little more, I guess I can't. But what were you guys? What was your highlight? What were you looking for? And what did you see that you were like, I'm getting an Xbox because of this?
Well,
Was there any of that?
one thing I wanted to talk about was, I guess, like, see, I watched the trailer, the gameplay thing for Halo Infinite or whatever, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I was fine with it. And then I was reading people that were saying that it looked bad, like the graphics weren't good or something like that.
Yeah, it didn't.
Really?
Yeah, it will because
Like,
it's
like
not
I.
finished.
What's funny is I watched it and they were like slowing down the stuff to look at it to see if it like the detail. And it's like, well, if the thing's moving, you're not going to be doing that. Like, you're not going to see that.
No, I think I from
Seemed
what
like
I heard,
nitpicking to me.
it did not look next gen to me. It looked like Xbox One. But they said that the same thing happened with Gears, and then they added, the ray tracing,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
lighting, and the textures after they showed a video.
Yeah,
So
they
Gears
said that.
looked a shit ton better than what it did on the trailer.
Yeah, they said ray tracing would make it look like fine.
Yeah,
Is what I read.
so what we saw just wasn't the finished product, I'm assuming. And
It's one
that's
of them
apparently
things where
what a
I
lot
guess
of
I didn't see the issue with it, but oh well.
yeah, a lot of the industry people are saying that was the case, that it just wasn't finished.
hmm
It was that the game that you were looking forward to the most was
I don't know if there was really a
Halo?
game I was looking forward to because I only knew about Halo that was going to be at the thing even. So, I mean, that one, the Obsidian one, looks like if they actually showed more of it, it might be worth looking into. I
The
mean, they
Halo
didn't
Infinite?
know the Obsidian one, Avowed or whatever how you call it or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, the Avowed it's called.
Yeah, something like that.
For those of you who don't know, Obsidian Entertainment is um early 2000s. Um it's like a second BioWare pretty much. They did Neverwinter Nights 2, KOTOR 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2. They did New Vegas, which is arguably one of the best Fallout games in the series.
hmm
Dungeon Siege 3, Stealth Park, Stick of Truth, Pillars. The Outer Worlds was the most recent one,
Yeah, isn't this new game set in
and
the Pillars,
Grounded.
like the universe for Pillars or whatever?
That would be cool
I'm pretty sure that's
because
what it said.
yeah, Pillars did very well, and I haven't bought it yet, and I want to because I've been hesitant because it's Baldur's Gate
hmm
and Icewind Dale, like a D&D type
It's
of
like,
game,
yep.
and it's single player. There's no multiplayer. So I'm like, ooh, I got to go through this huge, because like Baldur's Gate, we had a ton of fun back in the day. Planescape Torment is another one of those, and Pools of Radiance, and we had a lot of fun because it was multiplayer, and we'd fuck around with each other and try to go through the story in a very difficult D&D game, which was Baldur's Gate. It wasn't an easy fucking game. And Elder Scrolls Pillars of Eternity is essentially just like a revamped version of that current and single player.
Hmm.
So I do want to play it, but the only reason I haven't is because I got so much shit on my plate right now, like after buying a PS4 Pro.
hmm
Like I just put down Death Stranding to play Ghost of Tsushima.
hmm
Like normally I finish a game completely before I even think about a different game. And I'm like, I have like 30 hours minimum of Death Stranding left. I can't wait to play Ghost of Tsushima. so I've been very slowly playing Ghost of Tsushima. Anyway, was there any other game that you saw after
Uh,
you heard about the list? Was there anything that got you tickled?
so let's see. Alex probably watched more than I did. I
All
didn't
right,
watch
Alex,
some of it.
I can't really
what'd you
remember
think?
much of it, but all I know is that if they have like a stock or two like special edition console, that's like an automatic fucking pre-order.
If it's got like the biohazard symbol on it in that yellow, oh, I'm telling you, See, Alex was in the same state of mind as me. Oh, I almost forgot Warhammer 40k Dark Tide.
Yeah,
Yep.
actually, that one looks pretty good. Like from the little bit that they showed, where like the dudes like go into the room and they get fucked up. Oh my god.
Yep, it's like it's a studio Fat Shark that did Vermintide, which I haven't played yet because I want someone to play with me because it's like a co-op game. It's kind of like
Warhammer Fantasy though.
Yeah, that's another reason why I'm hesitating, but it looks really good. It's essentially like, well, the Vermintide is Warhammer Fantasy, like Alex said, so it's not space and lasers and chain swords. It's more, medieval. Your axes, your bows, crossbows, like basic bombs, kind of shit like that. And it's like I don't know what you would call it's almost like a Doom game or like a Left 4 Dead game. It's like where you fight waves of shit and try to slowly make it somewhere, but eventually you're going to die, that sort of thing. But you can actually, I think, level up your characters with different gear. So it kind of has RPG elements to it. And that's Vermintide, but this is Warhammer 40k we're talking about, people. This is the bread and butter. This is Games Workshop. This is the bread and butter of Games Workshop here. We're talking, a lot of people don't know Warhammer 40k, but that's classic sci-fi shit. That's classic sci-fi shit. And I can't wait because I look into pretty much every Warhammer 40k game I can, and a lot of them are, some of them aren't the best. But this might be worth trying, so I'm excited for that. I have a list of the games, so I'm just gonna name them off quick. We got Halo Infinite, As Dusk Falls, Avowed, Fable. I believe it's Fable 3, but they just call it Fable. Forza Motorsport, The Gunk, Phantasy Star Online 2, New Genesis, so that is Phantasy Star Online 2, Stalker 2, State of Decay 3, Tetris Effect, Connected, Warhammer 40k Darktide, Crossfire X, Destiny 2 Beyond Light, which is an expansion for Destiny 2, Everwild, Grounded, The Medium, The Outer Worlds, Peril on Gorgon, which is a expansion for Outer Worlds,
Yep.
Psychonauts 2, Tell Me Why, which is a Life is Strange type of game, Balan Wonderworld, Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition, Echo Generation, Exomecha, Hello Neighbor 2. Is this actually all the shit that was on it? Watch Dogs Legion, and Ori and the Will of the Wisp is getting optimized for it. So that's the list of games. A lot of of course, they don't have, not every launch title can be triple A, give me 20 Assassin's Creeds on launch, that kind of shit. No, this is like, you got some indie games mixed in with some triple A games.
Mm-hmm.
And
even Xbox, they said they wanted to like spread them out over the first year, a lot of the titles or something like that.
But Stalker 2, it's a console launch, so that's where the money's gonna be right there, dude.
Most of these, well, I think all these ones are pretty much going to be toward the launch, I think, right?
Well, no, he said they're day one ready.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, the showcase was day one ready and day one Game Pass ready. And I don't entirely know what the Game Pass is, but that was my issue. Because the Game Pass is PC and Xbox. So day one, they
No
said
PC can do it as good as the Xbox One S, though. That's the thing.
see, okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about quick after we get past the game part. But they said that essentially that these games, all of them, and maybe all Xbox Series X games are going to be Game Pass, which means immediately available on Windows PC in the Windows Store and on Xbox.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, do they? I mean, they're focusing clearly on. We'll talk about that in a second. I just want to say what I'm excited for quick, which I saw Halo Infinite and I was kind of like, you know, we've talked about this before. I haven't really been into Halo since Halo 2 because I didn't really like Halo 3. Halo Reach was good.
ODST was great because they put in the mode where the creatures keep assaulting you or whatever.
Yeah, the wave thing or whatever. It's I
Sure.
think I can't remember. But because I didn't even play Halo 4 or 5 and I watched all the cinematics for both games and I'm glad I stopped. Like I want to talk about that later too. I'm just not excited for Halo Infinite is what I'm trying to get to. I mean, a lot of people are excited for it. Like, oh, we're going back to Combat Evolved, but I'm like,
well, they said that the multiplayer part of the game is actually going to be free.
well,
Well,
good.
yeah.
I hope so.
Well, yeah, because there's a rumor saying that Xbox Gold is just going to be free now, so we'll see.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing.
That would be crazy.
Well, because they have the Game Pass subscription, so they're
Which
just
will be
lumping it in there. Yeah,
which will be a separate, yeah.
no one's paying separate gold plus that's ridiculous if they think people are doing that. But Halo Infinite, it's not a numbered series, so this is almost like a reboot or
Kind of, yeah.
we'll see what happens. I'm just not that excited about it. We can go in depth later once we hear more about it.
Yep.
But we'll talk about that later. But mine is Fable. I'm a little excited for Fable, even though I wasn't a big fan of Fable 2. But I mean, it's like Terry Pratchett in a game, pretty much. It's just like really dumb British humor, pretty much. Like,
Oh, good.
I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I take all that back. But I'm excited to see what they do with that. But Stalker 2. As soon as I saw Stalker 2, I'm like, I bought one. Like they sold me on it. PS5, it's the rearview mirror for me. Once they announced Stalker 2, because I recently just had faith that someone on Reddit just 2 months ago or something before this, like they said something, they're like Stalker 2 is never coming out. Here's why. And I'm like, what did I say? You just have to have faith or something.
Oh, Jesus.
And now it's coming out. And for those of you who don't know, Stalker was a game released in 2007 for PC. It is Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, and it is a very, very underrated first-person shooter, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think it's one of the best first-person shooters ever made. And it's fantastic, but just not a lot of people played it. They made a couple expansions for it that elaborated on the story.
It kind of almost like spawned its own vein of like copycat games over the years too. So that just tried to like cash in on the same kind of thing.
Yeah, Metro. If you've ever played Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, and Metro Exodus, those games, Stalker. Those games are almost Stalker, but I love Metro 2033 and I like The Last Light. I like the Exodus too, I guess, but it's pretty much the same vein, but Stalker was first. It is a dark Russian like survival horror with atmosphere to die for. Like it has some of the best atmosphere in a game. It's pretty much Metro except for more RPG and almost open world. It's a very much larger map than Metro, because 2033 Last Light pretty much you're tunneled through tunnels through the Metro. through the subway. So you pretty much got one path, maybe one or two paths, maybe little squares thrown in there. Stalker is more open world. And I just urge anybody who's a fan of first-person shooters who hasn't played it to at least check it out. You might enjoy it. But apparently this wasn't going to happen. Like, apparently no one expected this to come out, but we're getting one. We're getting Stalker 2, and I am so excited for it.
It's making me think anything could happen now.
Right? Like State of Decay 3, which I never, those games look good, but I never played them. And I might now. They look good. Warhammer 40K, Dark Tide looks good. But pretty much just Stalker 2 is really getting me going for an Xbox. Like if Stalker 2 comes out and they're like, yeah, it's good. And I'm like, oh, all right, here's $1,000 to buy a Series X in a game. We don't know how much it is. But what were we gonna talk about right after this? Someone said something. Ross, rewind the tape.
What did I say?
What were we gonna talk about? I said just wait, we were gonna talk about it.
Oh shit, I don't even know.
Apparently a dev recently claimed that the PS5 won't be 120 FPS, but Xbox Series X will.
Here's what actually happened.
The Xbox Game Showcase said 4K 60 FPS.
Here's what I'll explain. So there was a dev from, I think, based on seeing here, it's like Dynamic Voltage Games, whatever that is, studio behind Orphan of the Machine, whatever that is. Apparently, they said that their game was only going to have a 120 FPS version for Xbox Series X exclusively, and PS5 fans started attacking them, saying that they were favoring the Xbox by doing that. And the dev guy came out and literally said that like the only reason they don't have a 120 FPS version for PS5 is because they weren't able to get the frames that high with the PS5. They said,
Jesus.
So he pretty much said your beef is with PlayStation, is what he said.
They're really going there. They're really going there. Well, the showcase said like these games that were shown are apparently 4K 60 FPS.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the early stuff will be.
And I'm not 100% correct on this. Can you do 4K 120 FPS on a 60 hertz TV?
Probably
Is that
not
possible, or do you need 120 hertz?
Usually you need the hertz, I think. I think that's how it works, Alex. What's up? You there, Alex?
What about the hertz?
My God.
For 4K 120 FPS, can you even do that on a 60 hertz TV, or do you need 120 hertz TV?
You're going to have probably the option to downgrade it, or it'll just render every other frame.
Just optimize. So you do need 120 hertz TV if you even want to do 120 frames.
Or you can probably, like, in the options, like, lock it to 60. Well, you can only get 120 hertz if you're using a cable that supports it anyway. Otherwise, it'll downgrade you to 60 hertz, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
You would need, like, an 8K cable that's good for, like, 4K 120 or 8K 60 or 30 or something, you know?
Yeah, or HDMI 2.1. And
what the Xbox comes with, yeah.
Yeah.
Does the Xbox come with HDMI 2.1?
I'm pretty sure I read an article that said that that's what you're going to need at least for like to play the next gen. So.
Oh my God! So it does come with 4K 120.
Well,
I bought the wrong TV.
Well, I'm guessing that like I don't know if the first games are going to be that. Who knows?
Probably not.
But eventually they're going to try to have probably as many things as they can as 120 to.
They specifically said during the showcase 4K 60 FPS, so I'm not entirely sure what they got going on, but you need a really nice TV to like a good TV that does 120 hertz HDMI 2.1. Oh boy.
Probably.
Yeah, that's one of the more expensive ones because when I was researching like Samsung Q80T Plus, which is like $1,200 for a 55-inch, up to OLED, which is like $1,500 for a 55-inch. You know, shit like that. You need a really nice TV for HDMI 2.1, 120 hertz.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But what we were going to talk about was the streaming thing, the gold being free and Xbox Game Pass.
Oh yeah.
So I'm assuming they're just combining the two because you can't really have like two subscriptions for pretty much the same thing. Like, here's Game Pass, but go ahead.
The Game Pass just literally added those certain games that you'd be able to play for free or whatever.
Yeah, isn't it pretty much all games now that they're like advertising?
Well, they have, because they have like where some games go off Game Pass and then new ones replace them every so often.
Oh, okay, so that's how they're going to do it. Because I was like, they can't just have a subscription service and sell consoles and make money.
Because like Grand Theft Auto, was it 5? Is that the big one that everyone plays?
Yeah.
That one went off the Game Pass, and then I think Epic had like where they gave it out for free like a week after that. So apparently, after like Microsoft was done with it, like Epic was like, "Here we go."
Here we go. Now I can get the scraps.
Yeah, pretty much. Then they replaced it with Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever the hell it's called, the new one that's the online one or whatever.
Epic Games was able to do this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Mm-hmm. So I guess they must like have like a rotating roster of games.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, if there's Xbox Game Pass, all these showcase games come out. I'm like, okay, I'll just pay whatever it is, $15 for 1 month. Beat Halo Infinite, beat Stalker 2, beat another game, and maybe a fourth game. No, I don't think I could do 4, but we'll see. And just cancel my subscription. Like,
probably.
What's the stop? That's what I don't get. Like,
unless they have like a minimum
money?
of like 3 months, like or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, 3 months. Yeah, but it's like I don't get it. I don't understand where the monetization is in this. But I guess physical people are always. A lot of people still want physical media, though.
Yeah.
Like I try my hardest not to buy a digital game on Switch or on my PS4 because I was waiting to find a copy of Ghost of Tsushima because I couldn't get it on launch day. And spoiler alert, I had a $25 gift card to Best Buy and they had a couple in, so I went and got it. So that was awesome. But I was like, I could play it like tonight if I got it digital. Like I could play it right now, but I'm like, but then I wouldn't have the game and the resale value. Like,
but that's not true though. It would take you like 3 days to download it, Bryce.
That's true.
Or more.
And it took me it took a while for it to install to the PS4 Pro 2 and update. Like it had 2 4 gig updates.
Yeah.
So it took a while too. But I'm excited to see what they do for Game Pass because I don't really see monetization, but they have to have some sort of idea. Like releasing games on PC immediately too. That's like I'm almost
microtransactions. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I'm like, am I okay with just doing 1080p still? Like for these awesome games and just like, not have to pay, $500 on an Xbox? Like, I don't know, but I like the idea of 4K. Like, I'm kind of spoiled now. Like with Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding in 4K, they look pretty nice.
Yep.
Oh, I got Final Fantasy VII Remake. Found it used, so I got that. Yeah, I got that nice and cheap. So I got to play that too. And then I got Horizon. I got Spider-Man still and Death Stranding. Oh god, I just had so much crap to play for the PS4. I should just sell it. Just sell it all. Like, here, get rid of it. I can't waste my life on this. I need to get an Xbox and waste my life on that. So, it might be what I do. Might be. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Beat Ghost of Tsushima. Pack it in. Just pack it in. But so Xbox is doing a good job selling people on the console, though. Because a lot of people, like when this first started, they're like, Xbox doesn't have good games. Well, they have Stalker 2 now. We know that. And PS5 will blow them out of the water with exclusives. They still might because Xbox, is really good at having like a handful of exclusives that are like noteworthy, but then PlayStation's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep releasing them, like couple every year, and everybody's like, God dang, like stop.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. Like PS3 was the underdog, outsold everything, or outsold the 360, I think eventually, even though it was overpriced garbage. So yeah, I'm excited to see because I'm being sold on Xbox right now. So we'll have to see what happens. I wanted to bring up the Halo Infinite. Halo Combat Evolved, one of my favorite games of all time. Halo Infinite, it should be something I'm excited for. And unfortunately, I'm not. And it could change. It could change. But I wanted to bring up like the issue with video games and how they always try to one up their own universe.
God.
So there's going to be some Halo spoilers here because I want to talk specifically about Halo. Halo always tried to get bigger than itself, than it was. Not like other games like Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 didn't try to outdo Half-Life in like pretty much any sense of the word. It was just another great Half-Life game.
Yep.
And Fallout never, well, I guess Fallout 3 to Fallout 4, they didn't really try to one up each other. Elder Scrolls did the opposite. They're like, let's dumb it down. Let's dumb it down. For each kid, like Daggerfall, let's dumb it down. Let's go to Morrowind. Okay, Morrowind, let's dumb it down. Let's go to Oblivion. Okay, let's make it a stupid toddler. Let's go to Skyrim. Shit like that. And it's just like how the games work through their franchises. I'm making this long, I know, but I want to be detailed. But I was watching those Halo cinematics. Halo 1, the Covenant. You're just starting to fight the Covenant. Awesome. You go on a Halo, fighting some Covenant. Halo 2, it's like, what was it? Like the climax of the Covenant. And they're like, oh, there's a hive mind now. The flood got bigger. Now there's some fucking like cosmic horror hive mind guy. In Halo 3, it's like, oh wait, now there's brutes or some shit. And like Halo 4, they're like, oh, that got tired. Let's bring in the race that died off. Let's bring them in. The Forerunners or whatever, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's some weird shit.
Yeah, and then Halo 5, they're like, oh, Cortana went all fucky and made AI and robots and stuff. Let's do AI stuff with that, but more Forerunner stuff. It's like what's bigger than the previous one pretty much is what they're doing. But now they're like resetting it. And it's like, oh, they're going to I believe this is in the books. The group that they're fighting, the Covenant, is kind of like still it's a zealot offshoot of the original Covenant.
Yeah, aren't they called like the Banished or something?
Yeah, the Banished. They're like the zealots that still believe in the original cause, or some offshoot like that.
Yeah.
And they're going, weird. Yeah. So I'm glad, like, I'm excited that is a problem for right now. But the Cortana shit, the built or something, I don't know what the hell they call the AI people, but that's still in the background though for this game. So we might get a conclusion for that this game, maybe next game, but that's going to come back at some point. We know this. But the fact that they're going back to a smaller thing that was never addressed, I really like that. But it's like you went so far that you couldn't go any further. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Do you guys get that vibe at all with Halo Infinite?
I guess.
You know what I'm saying though? It's like movies do it a lot too. Like,
Kind of want to know a little bit more about the storyline leading into like what we saw in the game, because all it really was, because it like said like, what was it, like 160 some days after we lost, it said, or something like that, and I'm like, well, we lost what, who did we lose to? Then it kind of like, I guess, like fills it in that there's these banished guys, and it said they were like one step ahead of us and that they like fucking somehow like fucked us up, and I'm like, okay, cool, is it going to explain that more?
well, do you want me to spoil what happened in Halo 5 for you?
Does it actually pertain to Halo 5?
This takes place like immediate, like,
So they got fucked up by some. Oh, weren't they like in league
yeah.
with like the AI thing that was like a Forerunner thing or something?
Well, okay. Spoiler alert for Halo 5, which was released. I don't even know when.
A while ago.
Yeah. So the AI pretty much killed the UNSC.
Okay, so that's what they
Like,
were showing. Okay.
yeah. So the aftermath was like a broken down United Nations Space Command and him finding the chief floating. I don't remember how long he was floating after,
Yeah.
but they're pretty much just like scattered. Like humanity is like, ragtag now because of the AI.
Yeah, because it
They-
showed they had like barely any ships left or something. Like on the little screen, it showed like all this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for I read some of the books, like the first 3 books for Halo Reach, like the prequels and stuff, so I kind of knew what was going on in the background. But AI, like for their space and stuff, I'm sure the Covenant technology and Forerunner technology up their shit. But like originally, like they depended completely on AI for like everything in space. Like the AI, of course, had to make the calculations for everything. The AI had to make they paired the Spartans with AI to help the Spartans with calculations and control and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So that's why every Spartans were paired with an AI originally, but I think in the games they don't really say that. Like I don't know. I don't
That's
remember them
true.
covering it in the games.
I don't think they
But
ever really said that other ones would have them or anything like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because when you start the game on the Pillar of Autumn in the first one, Cortana's on the ship, but Cortana was paired with Master Chief Spartan 117 during his training. Like
Yeah.
in the extended universe. That's why he's attached to her. And then of course, they're like they're they're kidnapped kids that were trained, like gruelingly trained, kind of like Ender's Game,
Hmm.
to become super soldiers essentially, and they were experiments pretty much. So they didn't have much socialing at all because
Yeah.
Master Chief is actually in the game is really young. Like it grew them or it's kind of fucked up with the stories, but the AI is like kind of like I think a Cortana is more like kind of like a mother to him almost.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they play out in the games is like him like refusing to believe that she's like corrupt and needs to be put down pretty much because she said like AI after so long they get corrupted and pretty much tear themselves apart. And of course, he's like, nope, can't let anybody do that. Then she ended up going ape shit and destroys the UNSC. But he comes to his senses and does try to stop her, along with the Forerunner or whatever. But another thing, the UNSC was fighting stuff before the Covenant, which I want them to, because now that they have such a fractured space command, they might be able to bring this back. But there was like essentially like terrorist organizations that if I'm trying to remember, I haven't essentially like pirates and stuff that lived in like asteroid bases and stuff like hidden, and there were like terrorist organizations, and I believe the Spartan was originally created for that.
Yeah, it was some sort of anti like rebellion type protocol type shit, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, and then but then they ended up getting the shield technology eventually in the Covenant and stuff, and then of course it wound up being that. But in the books, I think um like Master Chief and the Spartans missions, their first missions, like I think before they even have the Mjolnir armor and stuff, are quelling these rebellious factions, or like trying to break them up or stop them from doing shit. So I think it
Probably.
would be cool to kind of go back. It's not really fair with like a Spartan and Mjolnir, but in the books, everything's a lot more real. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
a lot more realistic. Like a plasma shot from an elite, if they don't have a shield, like just tears through them,
Yep.
and they got to put the foam in to try to stop them and heal them. Anyway, I'm going way into Halo, but they
Yeah.
just one up, but I like them going back to basics kind of. But I'm sure they're going to try to one up themselves again or something. We'll see how they go.
Well, they added some game mechanics, of course, as you'd expect, like the
Yeah.
whole grappling thing and being able to like throw, interact with like certain objects and stuff.
Yeah. And the grappling hook is kind of dumb in my opinion. Like really super dumb to me, but that's a fun mechanic in other games, so they might as well implement it if they think it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like Master Chief hooks onto something, swings in his 1-ton weighted armor
Right.
on whatever strongest grapple in the world, I guess. Like it's essentially a car grappling to shit and swinging. Like, do you see that working at all? Like, that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
shit.
It is pretty funny.
Yeah. The flood. They even tried to like the flood even got like greater and greater, and like that was just like evolving, and that was weird too. They're kind of like the Tyranids from Warhammer 40K. But that's all I wanted to talk about for games and stuff. Do you guys want to talk about anything else about the Xbox showcase or anything? Do you guys have any hesitations, or anything you want to bring up about specific games?
Nah, I'm good. I don't know about Alex, but
I think it'll be pretty solid.
oh
All
yeah.
right. I think so too. I'm excited to see where they go with it and the price of them. Like
Yeah.
that's got to be coming out in September. I think they usually do something around September.
I know
We'll
in
see.
August they were going to have another one of those Xbox things, but I don't know what it's going to be about.
Yeah. Oh, it's got to be price. I'm sure.
It could be getting to that, yeah.
They're just waiting as long as possible to give those prices because they're going to try to compete. They really are. And PlayStation's going to be like, fuck. We spent too much money on the load times.
Yep, exactly.
But
And then it's like what Xbox like. Xbox. Well, it's like PlayStation spent all their time on like this fucking hard drive, and then Xbox is like, well, let's just like make it so that like the game only loads like what is needed like around you, and then it just streams it simultaneously when you're moving around instead of having to load everything at once.
yep.
That's what Xbox was all like, and they're like, you could do that.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep. That's funny. Did you guys hear about the Nintendo the huge Nintendo leak
I
that
heard
was
briefly
leaked on
about it.
4chan?
Wasn't there some? I saw something about Luigi or something, but I don't know what it was about.
It was well, people were looking for data for Luigi and Mario 64.
Uh-huh.
And well, I'll tell you what the leak is. The leak is over 30 years worth of data, including essentially everything from Nintendo.
Yep.
So all like the codes, the ROMs for all those games back in the day.
And I'm sure the system stuff too. Probably.
Yeah, probably. I didn't really dive into it, but oh, it's insane. It's an insane amount of data. Like everything from Nintendo, not new shit though.
Yeah.
Because whoever hacked him might be holding on to that maybe
Oh yeah, that's possible.
for maybe monetary gain or something, or for their own use, because the Switch and shit is still not.
They're gonna hold them ransom, Bryce?
Well, no, because if it's the hacking community or the modding community, the Switch isn't 100% there yet. like jailbreaking a Switch, playing emulation on it, essentially putting GameCube games on it, shit like that. That's not 100%. So if they got information from that, they need to not let Nintendo aware, so they can't preemptively try to stop them with firmware updates and shit.
Yep. I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah, that is my theory anyway, if they did get anything modern. But this is everything from back in the day. So people are combing through the code to make ROMs, to find files and characters that may have been supposed to go into a game but weren't finalized,
Yep.
like Luigi and Mario 64. Like
Yeah, they said
where
something about Luigi and Mario 64, and then it's something about some other game too, but I didn't know which one it was.
I think there's a lot of them that they're looking at. Like I think there's Zelda. I think there's a bunch of probably a bunch of mystery stuff from other games that they're like, there's just one area where there might be something but we don't know, so let's look at the code, and the code's like, oh, there's nothing there, like shit like that. I think
Uh-huh.
I didn't really read into it. I'm only kind of, I watched like a bunch of YouTube videos on it, like Modern Vintage Gamer and stuff. He is like a modder essentially, so
Mhm.
I listen to him occasionally talk about it, so I don't know a lot, but I know some of what they're going through with this. And a
Did
lot
you
of
hear,
people go
did
ahead.
you did you hear like a week ago? I want to say it was like a week ago. Like in Brazil, they released like some sort of like game rate, like ratings, like the game ratings for like the new like Xbox games or something like that, or something of that nature. And they had a rating for like World of Warcraft, the new like expansion, and everyone was just like, "Wait, is World of Warcraft going to be on Xbox Series X?" And then but then they claimed that was an error.
Oh shit. Wait, okay, first off, that's not even possible.
I
How?
don't know how that would work either.
No way. There's like the hot bar with 20 skills. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's why people were just like, but then they claimed, "Oh, that was just an error. Like it wasn't supposed to be like there or
Yeah,
something like
no
that."
shit. Oh my god, you need a controller with like 20 buttons or something and like map
They'd probably
everything.
have a keyboard and mouse or something.
Oh, see, but then it's just a PC. But I wouldn't
That's
need to
true.
upgrade my computer to 4K if
There you go.
Xbox is 4K. You know what I'm
There you
saying?
go.
Yeah. Um so I mean, let's just see what the future brings, you know?
What if someday like World of Warcraft was on console?
I think I really think they would have to dumb it down,
It's possible.
cuz it's like off the chain with like the number of buttons and shit people want to press. Like the
Yeah,
hot bars, the custom hot bars and everything. Even though really, because they did that for Legion, they had it where no, Legion and then Battle for Azeroth. Battle for Azeroth? That one. No, maybe
sure.
it was Legion. They essentially dumbed down every class to like a 5 key rotation pretty much. Like it wasn't like full hot bar complicated, that kind of thing. It was like 3 to 5 skill rotation for like your DPSing, and then you had the emergency buttons. So maybe if Shadowlands was dumbed down again like that, where every class was simplified,
I
I
know
could see it.
they
But
said they were adding some stuff back in, so maybe not then.
yeah,
The-
because I think it would alienate all the PC players.
right?
Because I mean, they wouldn't be able to like the people playing it on PC for World of Warcraft. Why would they ever play it on Xbox?
Yeah,
And
I
because
don't
they
know.
got all their add-ons, their mods and stuff. Like
Yeah,
pretty much everybody uses some sort of add-on with WoW.
I mean they do have Minecraft on console, and that has a
Yeah,
lot of
but you
add-ons.
remember
But
originally on 360, it was a very dumbed down version of Minecraft.
yeah, I know it's true.
Like they couldn't even have full PC Minecraft on it. Because I played it, I owned it on the 360, and it was like so many chunks area, and you could only
Yeah.
work within those chunks. So it's like 20 by 20 chunks. So it's a very tiny world that you got to work in. But I'm sure it's full on Minecraft now. By now it
Probably.
is. They got that Minecraft action RPG too. that they made. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
that one where you go in the dungeons and shit. And
Yeah, Minecraft Dungeons. It's like it's an action RPG. It's straight up Diablo.
yeah, I
From
saw someone play that like for like a few minutes on like a stream one time.
Hey, if it's fun and people pick it up, I'll probably play it. Like,
Didn't they have like expansions for that already or talk about it already?
I think it's been out for a while, so probably. I think it's been out for a month or so. No, it's probably more. I can't
It's been
remember.
longer than that, yeah. I'm pretty
Yeah, I've
sure.
been seeing tons of ads for it. So, do you guys have anything else you want to bring up, or should we call it?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
See you.
See you.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the episode. You could catch us currently at the Prime 4 podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Podcast Addict for audio only. If you want to see how fugly we look in real life, you can also catch us on YouTube under the Prime 4 podcast.